Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is in the spotlight this morning after a high-profile visit from House Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Dayton Congressman and House Intelligence Chair Mike Turner led him on a tour of the base, and he joins us live this morning. Congressman, as always, we appreciate you stopping by.
Thank you. Glad to.
Now, this was a big deal. This is House Speaker Kevin McCarthy's third visit over the last couple of years, his first as House Speaker. Why do you think he's putting such a priority on the base and putting this in the spotlight?
You know, Wright-Patterson Air Force Base works on the cutting edge of really the mission of the Air Force, but on intelligence issues that really affect national security around the world. And what Kevin has seen in coming here is that he gets incredible briefings, that the people that are there have unbelievable insight. So he's coming back each time because they're giving him a greater understanding of the threats that we have around the world and really what his job is, what we need to do about them.
Now, we heard from you both after the tour, but obviously you've talked to him throughout this whole thing. You talked to him after the news conference. What was his main takeaway as he left to head back to Washington, D.C. about his time here at Wright-Pat?
He really sees that the work there is both unique and extraordinary, and so much so that it was actually his idea that I have the retreat of the Intelligence Committee here, where we brought the head of the Director of National Intelligence, the head of the CIA, the Secretary of the Air Force, and the Director of NSA. He said, we need to bring all these people here. We need to have our conference. We brought 20 members of Congress. He has encouraged us to do this again and grow it as an intelligence conference, which I think is an excellent idea as a platform to promote Wright-Pat. But each time that he leaves, he's in the Gang of 8 with me, having appointed me to be the chairman of the Intelligence Committee. So there's the top 8 of us out of 535 of Congress. And what he sees is that Wright-Patterson Air Force Base helps him do that job too.
How does this impact funding and other projects coming to the base now that we're seeing that support from House leadership?
It makes a huge difference. I mean, when I talk to the Secretary of the Air Force, when I talk to DOD, when I talk to the Armed Services Committee to advocate for Wright-Patterson Air Force Base, they know that Kevin McCarthy has been there, and they know that he's an advocate for the base too.
Now, being on the House Intelligence Committee and being the chair of the House Intelligence Committee, you're briefed frequently on all situations around the globe. That includes the situation unfolding in Russia, as we experienced over the weekend with the insurrection there in Wagner. So tell us a little bit about what we know about how this could impact, I guess, the situation unfolding in Ukraine.
Right, so what we saw was the Wagner Group, which was this independent militia that Putin had basically hired to do missions around the world and then to focus on Ukraine. Mutiny, basically. They crossed the border from Ukraine into Russia. It's a 12-hour drive to Moscow. They made 10 hours of that in a caravan. That shows that they had complicity from the Russian military itself. You can't make that distance if you don't have people who are aiding you along the way. Those individuals obviously are in the structure of the Russian military, and as Putin moves to address that he does not have the support of the people in the military itself, that will affect their ability to prosecute the war in Ukraine. It also hits morale, right? If you're in Ukraine and you're a Russian fighting for a war that you just heard shouldn't be being fought, and you're worried about your own home country, you want to go home. And if you want to go home, that certainly lessens your interest in fighting in Ukraine.
I think a lot of people don't really pay much attention to what is happening on the ground on a day-to-day basis. I think a lot of people just want to know, does this weaken Putin?
Absolutely, it completely weakens Putin. And the aspect of what's happening now with the Ukrainians being on the offensive is that they're on the offensive, right? There's an entire other aspect of the conflict has been where they're on defense, now they're on the offense, and now Putin himself is threatened.
Let's shift gears now to China. You voiced concerns about the latest COVID origin report. Is your committee prepared to challenge the Office of the Director of National Intelligence to get more information released?
Absolutely. We passed unanimously out of the House the statute that requires the declassification of the information that they have concerning the COVID virus's origin and the Wuhan lab. The Senate passed it by voice vote, so there was no opposition, and the President of the United States signed it. It's the law of the land. This is not discretionary. We're not asking for things to be declassified. We're not subpoenaing them and require that they produce them. By law, these are to be declassified and released, and we're going to push so that they are.
Do you think there's more evidence out there that's not been released that proves the lab leak theory?
Well, our committee has already seen a lot of the classified material that the Director of National Intelligence has. And we believe that that information is incredibly important for the dialogue and the assessment that experts around the country need in order for them to be able to make their conclusions.
Do you have an idea of when possibly you could get some of this new information, or is this something that's going to unfold over a month's time?
This is going to have to be negotiations, unfortunately, because the law is very clear. But when we're back in Washington, certainly it's one of the top priorities.
All right, Congressman Turner, as always, we appreciate you stopping by, and congratulations on a successful right path visit with the Speaker.
Thank you so much.